Happy week, 8th graders.
Hello, 8th graders. So we're going to be starting a new unit. We're all set on the two-way tables, and we're going to be looking at square roots. Now, we've done square roots before, but we're going to start doing ones that don't work out nice. Okay, so let's start with the squares. 1 squared is 1 times 1, which is 1. 2 squared is 2 times 2, which is 4. 3 times 3, 4 times 4, 5 times 5, 6 times 6, 7 times 7, 8 times 8, 9 times 9, 10 times 10, 11 times 11, and 12 times 12. So those are called our perfect squares, and we can get the square roots of them. So for example, the square root of 36 here is 6, because when you look at it, 6 times 6 is 36. So that's asking what times itself gives you 36? It's 6. They're opposites. So like 9 squared is 81, and the square root of 81 is 9. But now what are we going to do with the other numbers? Because this is just a few of them. So let's put them on the number line here. This is square root of 1, square root of 4, because it's 2 times 2, square root of 9, square root of 16. Now all the rest of them are still in there. So in between here is still the square root of 2 and the square root of 3. Over here would be the square root of 5, the square root of 6, I can't fit them all in, the square root of 7, the square root of 8, and so on. So we can estimate where the numbers are. So for example, if you had the square root of 13, well, that's going to be here between 9 and 16. So that number is going to be between 3 and 4. So the first step that we're going to do, and the first step that's going to be on your homework, is just to say that. Square root of 13 is somewhere between 3 and 4. The next thing that I'd like to do is to get an estimate. So where would 13 be? If I wrote out all the numbers from 9 to 16, where is 13? So I'd have 10, I'd have 11, I'd have 12, I'd have 13, I'd have 14, I'd have 15. Sorry about my handwriting here. 13 is kind of right in the middle. So if I asked you for an estimate, I'm going to use a little squiggle because I'm not saying that this is accurate, but I'm saying it would be about 3.5, because it's between 3 and 4, and it's right about halfway in between there. I'm going to leave these perfect squares over here on the left side for our reference, but let's take a look at square root of 50. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the closest ones on either side. So the closest ones on either side would be 49 and 64. Then underneath them, I'm going to put what they are. So what gives us 49? It is 7 times 7. What gives us 64 is 8 times 8. So to answer the first question, it is somewhere between 7 and 8. If I was to make an estimate of it, I'm going to say it's about, well, notice how close it is to 49, 49.50. So if I had to make a guess, it's really close to 7, like 7.1. So kind of picture all these numbers in between here, all the ones from 50 to 63, and picture all the 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, and so on. I'm not asking you to be precise. Like, I'm not going to argue with you if you say that it's 7.2 and I thought it was 7.1. I really only want you to think about 3 sections. Is it towards the front? Is it in the middle? Or is it in the end? And then just make me a guess that's somewhere in those sections. Square root of 10. So the first step here is that we are going to get the one just below it. So where is 10 on this list? 10 is right here. So that is between 9 and 16. The next step is to say what makes 9? Well, that is 3 times 3. And what makes 16 is 4 times 4. Again, that's written right there for you. So to answer the first question, what is it between? It is between 3 and 4. If we were to make a guess, where is 10 between 9 and 16? Well, it is way over here right next to the 9. So I'm going to pick something low, again, like 3.1. Square root of 90. So I want the one that's just below it. Let's see, that would be right in here. So that would be 81. And the one above it would be 100. Do you agree that 90 is between 81 and 100? So what makes 81 is 9 times 9. What makes 100 is 10 times 10. So to answer the first question, 90, square root of 90 is going to be somewhere between 9 and 10. Now to make an estimate, where is it? Is it in the front, is it in the back, or is it in the middle? So please notice that this is about 9 away and this is about 10 away, so I'm going to put it right in the middle. So my guess is going to be that it's 9.5. Now with my estimates, those are not going to probably be it. So for example, I have my calculator right next to me here, and if I put in square root of 90, the actual answer is 9.486832981. It'll go on forever. The non-perfect ones will always do that. And that's really close to my 9.5 guess. Okay, square root of 45 is between which two? It is here between 36 and 49. So what makes 36 is 6. What makes 49 is 7. So it is somewhere between 6 and 7. And what would it be as a guess? Notice that this is about 4 apart. This is about 9 apart, so it is definitely closer to the 7. So let's pick something bigger. Let's pick like 6.8 or 6.7, something like that would be a good guess. So square root of 80. To do this, we need that list that we just had on the last page. So what are the numbers we can use? We can use 1 times 1, 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4, these perfect ones. So I would strongly recommend you have these written down somewhere that you can look for. So let's use those. Where is 80? 80 is here between 64 and 81. So that means it's somewhere between 8 and 9. And 80 is right underneath the 81, so that's going to be really far over here. So I'm going to say approximately like 8.9 as my guess. And I want you to keep thinking of them on the number line here. So what, as you scan through these, do any of them stand out to me, or to you, I'm sorry. What stands out to me is this 99. So I know that 100 is perfect. 100 is 10 times 10. So 99 would be right below that. So let's grab that and put that right in there. Okay, how about 31? Where would 31 go? Thinking of my perfect squares, I have 25 and 36. So that would be going here between 5 and 6. Let's look at 3. So square root of 4 is 2 times 2. So this is going to be, oh my goodness, this is going to go right down there by 2. Oh, square root of 21. What I'm thinking of in my mind is I've got 25, which is 5 times 5. So this is going to be just underneath 5 times 5, and so on. We could end up, this is just under 64. 52 would be just above 49. So that's 7 times 7. I'm not going to do all of these, but there are a few. Also on your homework, we're going to go back to our Pythagorean theorem. So it's been a little while, but we are doing that again. So remember, our step is we're going to label A, B, and C. A is our smallest side. B is going to be our middle side, and C is going to be our largest side, and that is going into A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I'm going to replace my numbers, so instead of an A, I'm now going to have a 3. Instead of my B, I'm now going to have an 8. And this C is going to come along for the ride. 3 times 3 is 9. 8 times 8 is 64. I'm going to add those together and get 73. And then I want to do the opposite of it. So the opposite of the square is the square root, which I'm going to do on both sides. So my answer is the square root of 73. So now why we're bringing this back right now is because what is the square root of 73? That is not one of our perfect ones. So I want to think about what number is just below. So I believe that would be square root of 64, which is 8 times 8. And the one above it would be 81, which is 9 times 9. So if I had to make an estimate, it is somewhere between 8 and 9. And where does it fall? It falls basically in the middle there. So I'm going to say about, squiggly line for the about, 8.5. So we really got to get comfortable with our perfect squares so that we can pull the 64, the 81, the 25, the 36, the 49 out of our memory pretty easily, or to have them written down next to you and available. Okay, so let's do it again. Our smallest side is A, our middle side is B, our longest side across from the right angle is our C. Putting it into A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So I'm going to replace my A with a 4. I'm going to replace my B with a 9, and I end up with a C squared. And a cat is currently smelling my knee for some reason. 4 times 4 is 16. 9 times 9 is 81. Okay, I can go ahead and add those together. That's going to get me 97. Opposite of a square is a square root on both sides. And I've got that C is the square root of 97. Okay, so that is not one of my perfect ones. I would like to know what's close to it. So the one that comes to mind right away is 100. 100 would be just above it. That is 10 times 10, so the bottom would be 9 times 9, which is 81. My answer is somewhere between 9 and 10. And if I had to make a guess, it's not in the middle, it's closer to the 10, but not quite all the way there. So let's say like 9.8. Okay, I'd like you to give this a try. 7.1. Now, of course, if you're having any questions on this, feel free to send me an email. We could set up a Zoom to meet, or just watch this video again and start from the beginning there where I got the explanation and see if you can figure it out that way. And for Baxter, or Thomas and I here, hope you guys are having a good week, staying healthy, staying active, and hope to see you guys pretty soon there.